Okay, so this is question number 9 in 2.2 for Workplace 30, and a bit of a tricky one, but I've already kind of started it, so let me just show you what I have up on the screen here. So we've got a frame, an outside frame, and we're going to put a piece of glass inside that rests kind of on this little ridge. You know how frames, they have the inside kind of grooved out, right? And you can put a piece of glass and a picture in that groove. So the question says, given the dimensions that are on the diagram here, what are the piece of glass's maximum and minimum dimensions? So I'll just highlight it in red here. I'm looking for the maximum length and the maximum width that'll fit just inside that groove. And then there's also going to be a minimum height or length that goes just to there and to there. And then a minimum width, right, that goes from the inside of the groove to the other inside of the groove. So the maximum height, what I did was I took this 14.5, the total, I subtracted 2.5, subtracted 2.5, so that's like minus 5, okay? And so that maximum length, it can be a maximum height, what do we want to call that, of 9.5 inches.
So you subtracted you subtracted 2.5 twice.
I subtracted from this 2.5 twice, that's right. So that's the maximum. Now the minimum height, we could do that right away. Okay, so the minimum height, it could be a little bit smaller. It could be a smaller by a quarter of an inch on here and a smaller by a little quarter of an inch over here. So you could go 9.5 inches minus 1/4 inch minus 1/4 inch. Or that's like 9.5 inches minus 1/2 of an inch. So the minimum is 9 inches. So the maximum height is 9 inches, the minimum height, 9.5 versus 9. Okay, that's for the height. Then you do the same thing for the width. And the width is, so now the width, let's do it down here, that's 12.5 inches minus 2.5 minus 2.5, so that's minus 5 inches. So the maximum width would be 12.5 minus 5. And then the minimum, and I'll just show it to you here and you guys can finish it off, would be this minus another 1/2 an inch, right? This quarter width here. A quarter there and a quarter there. So that's your max and your min here. So that's the start for A. So I'll let you finish that, this little part here, and I'll show you the answers in a minute, okay? And that's the maximum dimensions there. Okay, so grade 12s, did you get this for your dimensions there in blue? I got it down at the bottom. So a maximum of 7.5 inch wide and a minimum of 7 inches wide. So anywhere in between there would be good. Okay? All right? So obviously we're going to try and hit right in the middle, right? So it would be nice if this was 9 1/4 inches high. And it would be nice if this was 7 1/4 inches wide. You see that? So when you're doing this, if you're building something or making something and you know kind of like, okay, max min, aim for the middle. And if you're a little off, it's okay. Now the next question says, would it be better to make the glass larger or smaller? So would you want to make it as big as you think it could possibly be or as small as it could possibly be? Well, what do you think? Is it easier to trim if it's a little bit too big, or is it easier to add glass on if it's too small? Easier to trim. Yeah, you don't want to go adding glass on. That's crazy. So you could trim it if it's too big. So you'd want to make it a little bit bigger. So you want to make it big. And then how could you write this? So this is one of the ways that you could show tolerance. And it was one of the ways that was kind of like we don't use it all that much, but this is what you'd want to do. So you'd want to go something like the height, right? You'd want to say make the height the largest it can be, and then you don't want to go any larger, so plus 0, remember this kind of up here, and then minus, you could go minus 1/2 an inch, yeah, minus 1/2 an inch. So this is one way of writing that with a little like, you could go up this much or down this much if you need to. Another way you could write it, and this is on the side, but remember I said you want to aim for 9 1/4? Well, if you aim for 9 1/4, then you would say you could go up 1/4 inch from there, or you could go down 1/4 inch from there. So that's another way to write it. But they're saying, how would you show that if you wanted to make the piece, or you were giving someone else instructions to make you this glass piece? You say, hey, my maximum measurement is 9.5, but you can go up to a half an inch shorter. And then the width here, height and whatever you call it, I don't know, width or length or whatever, is, what is it, 7.5. And plus 0, but minus up to a half an inch is okay. So that's how they're wanting you to write these things. Okay? So that's the help with number 9 there. So you guys go ahead and keep working on the rest. Hopefully you're going to be here today. This is where I need you to be today, but if you're already past that, that's great. So try and finish up these practice skills today, and let me know again if you need any help.